Hi guys. So we just left off reading part 1 of the chapter 4, Stick Dog Cannot Fly a Helicopter. And in that chapter, we're trying to find ideas and coming up with plans of how they can get those frankfurters, and frankfurters are hot dogs. So we've listened to some ideas. We had an idea from Mutt, who said they could all be from the same family, but they said that didn't work. We had an idea from Poo Poo, who talked about using hamburgers, but they didn't have any hamburgers. And then they listened to a plan by Stripes, who said they could get a helicopter at the helicopter store. Never seen one of those. And they figured out, oh my gosh, Stick Dog can't fly a helicopter, which is the name of our chapter. So they said that wouldn't work. So we were trying to figure out if Karen had an idea. So now Stick Dog and Karen are going to talk to see if Karen has an idea. So let's see. Okay, Stick Dog said. Out with it then. Okay, so she said, it's definitely the most extra spectacular, splendorific frankfurter snatching strategy of all time. That's what Karen said. It is so brilliant because it's so simple. Karen began and started to pace in front of the other 4 dogs. We're going to walk right up to old Prickle Pop there and, remember, none of them can remember his name. His name is Peter, Stick Dog said. Yeah, well, that's what I said, replied Karen, never missing one of her little dashhound strides. Anyway, this marvelous plan is going to work for one reason. Greed. Greed? asked Stick Dog. Greed, answered Karen. Then she did something rather odd. And let's face it, rather odd for this bunch of dogs is going to be pretty darn peculiar. Karen stopped pacing back and forth and said, watch this. Stick Dog, Poo Poo, Mutt, and Stripes all watched as Karen proceeded to drop down on the ground and tuck her little dashhound legs up close to her long dashhound tummy. Then she curled her tail up underneath and between her legs. Finally, she tucked her chin close to her chest and, trying not to move her lips at all, said, "What am I?" A dashhound who just forgot how to walk, guessed Mutt. No. Ooh. I love guessing games, said Poo Poo. You're a furry torpedo. No. Stripes walked a couple of circles around Karen, staring down and examining her the whole time. I think I got it, she said. You're a gorilla who fell asleep wearing a dashhound costume. No, said Karen, feeling a little exasperated. Stick Dog, do you have a guess? Stick Dog did indeed have a guess. He wanted to say, you are the weirdest dog on the planet. But he didn't. He simply said, no, I don't have a guess. I give up. What are you? Duh, said Karen, lifting her little chin up slightly and looking at herself. I'm a frankfurter. See the color, the shape, everything. Okay, said Stick Dog. You're an awfully large frankfurter, by the way. But let's try and see past that. Let's say everybody, including Peter, believes you're a frankfurter. What's the rest of your plan after you're done imitating a frankfurter? Karen looked at Stick Dog like his brain had just turned into a rawhide chew. She sighed. Do I really have to explain it to you? It's so simple. Do you guys understand? I don't yet. Yes, said Stick Dog. Please explain it. When Prickle Pop, Peter, corrected Stick Dog. Right, that's what I said Karen. When he sees me, he's going to think he hit the jackpot. I'll be the world record biggest frankfurter he's ever seen. He'll do anything to have me. Think about it. His whole world revolves around frankfurters, and when he sees me, his greed will overtake him. He'll do anything to get me. You trade me in for all the other frankfurters. They just looked at Karen, so she continued with her plan. Look at that. A giant frankfurter Karen. After you get those frankfurters from the cart, he'll put me down to admire me. He'll think he is in some crazy, beautiful dream with the world's largest, most magnificent frankfurter right there for him to have and to hold. What then? What will you do with Prickle Pop? Stick Dog said. Then he stopped. He looked down at the ground and shook his head a couple of times before looking back up. I mean, Peter. What will you do when Peter is admiring you? That's easy, said Karen. There was a clear sense of superiority in her voice. I'll pop out my legs and run all the way to your pipe, Stick Dog. Save some frankfurters for me. Yeah, baby, brilliant plan, huh? Stick Dog had grown more and more impatient, and his stomach had grown more and more grumbly. He usually tried to be polite when one of his friends had a plan that was a little, not so good, but now he had just had enough. When was the last time you had enough? I'll tell you mine. I was taking out the garbage. Do you have to take out the garbage? Well, I do. It was one of those big white plastic stretchy bags from the kitchen garbage can. It had a bunch of old food and paper and old cleaning rags in it, and my mom had just dumped all the dust and yuck from the vacuum cleaner in there. You know, that big gray clump of grossness that has dust and hair and shoe mud all swirled around inside like a tornado. The bag was full of it, along with other garbage stuff. Ugh. So I'm taking it out to the end of the driveway, right? Only it's really heavy this time. And I'm pretty strong. I can break a stick in half right over my knee. How about that? Yeah, it's true. Totally true. Anyway, I'm strong. But the garbage bag was really heavy. So I had to sort of drag it to the can instead of carry it. And about halfway down the driveway, it started tearing. Only I didn't know it started tearing. So by the time I got to the can, most of the garbage was spread out behind me in a line in the driveway. Oh no, that's such a bummer. And no, I didn't happen to notice that the bag was getting lighter, so please don't ask. Well, I had to go pick up all that filth and yuck with my hands, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until it was all back in the bag. I was so mad that I kicked the bag, and all the dust and hair from the vacuum cleaner came poofing out in a great cloud of terribleness right into my face. Oh, that was the last time that I had had enough. All of a sudden, I feel like taking a shower. So this is the time it was Stick Dog who had had enough. He looked at Karen, who was all still, kind of strutting around about the geniusness of her plan. Stick Dog just said, "Frankfurters don't have fur. Peter will never believe it." All four of the other dogs looked at Stick Dog with their heads sort of turned sideways like he was speaking a foreign language. Like cat language, or turtle language, or pumpkin language. "What is it?" Stick Dog asked. They all asked at the same time, "Who is Peter?" Stick Dog closed his eyes for a moment. And then he opened them slowly, very slowly. "Peter is the man over there with the Frankfurter cart. Remember?" Then all four of them started nodding their heads with great energy and enthusiasm. They remembered. "Okay, those were 4 great plans. Really they were," Stick Dog said with as much sincerity as he could muster. "But I think I have a plan that might just work, if you all agree." "What's your plan?" asked Poo Poo, Stripes, Mutt, and Karen. They'd gathered around to listen to Stick Dog. "Well, look over there. See where Peter has his Frankfurter cart parked?" Stick Dog said, and before he could be interrupted, he added, "Peter is the one working the cart." The 4 other dogs looked over at the cart and then back at Stick Dog. "Well, somebody is drying their clothes in the yard right next to where he's parked. See the clothes and the sheets and stuff flapping in the wind? And there's a basket of folded laundry, too. I think we can sneak around the back of that blue house to right where all those clothes are hanging. We'll get behind one of those 2 sheets hanging there. As soon as he turns his head to look in the other direction, we'll pounce out in front behind the laundry, grab some frankfurters, and run like crazy. Stickdog looked to see the reactions of his 4 friends. What a lousy plan, said Karen. All of our plans were much more sophisticated and brilliant, said Mutt. What a bogus plan, said Poo Poo. Pretty simple, isn't it? Sighed Stripes. Stickdog gathered himself together a little bit. He wanted those frankfurters really badly. He wanted, look at the card again, and there's the laundry he was talking about. He wanted those frankfurters really badly, and he wanted to end this conversation almost as much. So all he said was, "You're right, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're all correct. It's not a very good plan at all. It's rather simple and boring, and your plans were all so much better in so many ways. But I wonder if we could just try mine out. Could we? Are you with me?" It was just the kind of encouragement they needed. Yes! They all shouted together. After they calmed down a little bit, Mud asked, "Stickdog?" "Yes?" Mutt glanced down the street, then quickly back at Stickdog. "I think we better hurry." "Why?" "That raccoon is getting closer to the frankfurter cart." I forgot about the raccoon, did you? Stickdog could instantly see that Mutt was correct. He had been so busy listening to his friend's plans that Stickdog had neglected to keep a watchful eye on the raccoon. It was no longer in the maple tree 4 houses away from the cart. It was now in a pine tree. Oh my gosh, the raccoon peeking out of the pine tree. 3 houses away. The others saw it as well. Poo Poo couldn't stand it. He snarled and began pacing. "It's getting closer. It's going to get there first. What are we going to do, Stickdog? What are we going to do?" "It's okay," Stickdog said, "but we do need to hurry." "We need to do something else too," added Karen. "What's that?" Stripes asked and tilted her head. "We need to give the raccoon a name," she said simply. "A name?" "Oh yeah," said Karen, as if this was a perfectly logical thing to do. "If we're going to have a nemesis who is trying to snatch what is rightfully ours, it needs to have a name, an evil name." Stickdog could hardly believe what he was hearing. They had to hurry. He knew that raccoons were quite capable of finding and retrieving food. He'd seen enough toppled trash cans and ripped open garbage bags to know that. He had also known that raccoons had powerful, sharp claws. He'd seen plenty of tracks in the woods and outside his pipe along Highway 16. He did not want to mess around with a raccoon, and he certainly didn't want one to get the frankfurters before they did. So here's the raccoon. It says, "Hi, my name is..." But instead of hustling along with the other plan, they were going to waste precious time naming the raccoon. He was just about to put a stop to this nonsense when Mutt spoke up. "I have a problem with this whole naming business," said Mutt. Stickdog exhaled a little to himself. Finally, someone else knew how silly this was. "What is it, Mutt?" "Well, we don't know if our new raccoon enemy is a boy or a girl," he explained. "That's going to make it difficult to come up with a name." Karen, Poo Poo, and Stripes nodded in complete understanding. Stickdog just stood there getting hungrier. He was trying not to let his frustration show. Karen, who had come up with a whole naming idea, took charge of the conversation. "Look, let's just throw out some name suggestions for the evil raccoon and see what works best," she sighed. "Remember, the whole boy-girl problem is you make your suggestions. Try to stay away from names that are too girl or boy specific." This seemed to make good sense to the others. Even Stickdog agreed, but solely because he wanted to move the give the raccoon food snatcher and name process along as fast as possible. The suggestions came at a furious pace from all of them except Stickdog. "Despickabeast, Masked Mobster, Raccoon-a-Doom, Double Meister, the Raccoon Typhoon." While Stickdog listened to these names and other suggestions, his stomach became impatient. It grumbled loudly. It was as if his body was telling him to put an end to all of this naming business. Okay, guys, he interjected in a firm but friendly voice. These are all great suggestions, but we better get moving here. The next time, or the next name, is the winner. You would think that would make all of them blurt out a name choice quickly, but the opposite was actually true. There was a slight hesitation as they each considered and tried to come up with something really good. But it was Mutt who spoke up first. And it was Mutt who chose the name of their new raccoon nemesis. It was Mutt who said, Phyllis. Phyllis it is, Stick Dog said instantly, before anyone could object. He nodded toward the house with the drying laundry in the yard. This way, as fast as we can. As if to get a greater sense of urgency and a spirit of teamwork, Karen exclaimed, Down with Phyllis! And they took off. And there's our raccoon nemesis named Phyllis. Whoa. All right, guys, so we all had different plans. They're going to try Stick Dog's plan and see if it works. And the next chapter is called Karen is Gone. So chapter 5 is Karen is Gone. Uh-oh. Think about it. Come up with some ideas. Why is Karen gone? And is Stick Dog's plan going to work? All right, guys, great listening.